Here.
You're not Diane.
Your name's Diane?
And
Oh, she
Diane.
said Handelman. All
Yeah.
right.
You don't look like a Diane.
Oh, you had a
But,
sex
but
change
wait a
overnight.
minute now, with these days and
You never
the way
know.
things are, you know, you may identify yourself.
Hello. Hello.
Michael Bunk.
That's Patricia, playing with the microphone.
Mike Bunk.
Oh, where is she?
She went to
Come.
dinner.
Working out there.
Carol Burns.
Here.
Susie Burns. Not here. Marilyn Curtis.
No.
Maurice Debeguer.
Here.
Ruth.
Me, I'm here.
Bert Franklin. Dan Gladstone.
Not here.
All that moaning and bitching, he doesn't even shut up. Richard Hanson.
Here.
Jackie Carter.
No,
Bobby Levin.
no.
Mike Graybeard.
Here.
Laura Simpson. Jeffrey Ski. Jeffrey.
Yes. I'm here.
Jerry Satowski.
No.
Mary Walsh. Olga Wilkins.
She just came through the door.
She's here, she's here.
Think you got a letter.
Got Karen.
I even responded this time.
What do you got?
We got Hank. Mike.
It's not a quorum.
Yeah, plus one.
We need one more.
And the officers don't count for quorum. For quorum.
David.
Oh, wait a minute.
And
We have Barbara.
It's a guess.
I'm not on the.
It's a guess.
All right, sorry.
Edward.
Maybe somebody will come.
Dominic.
No,
No Dominic.
Stuart.
no.
No Sheila.
Here.
I'm here.
That's it? All right.
Waiting on one.
Yeah, we need one to make a quorum, but, well, I think Ed has something he wants to vote on, but we need one more person. All right, please have a look at the minutes. Wow, these mics are juicy today. Huh?
Turn it down. I can do it behind you.
Well, yeah, you can bring it forward.
Yeah. So memorize one.
Say again?
They're all the way up.
I know.
Just turn them all quarter.
No, it's not on here, it's on the control panel, yeah. You can turn it down a little.
How's that?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Everybody hear that?
Yep.
Sounds good. Okay, please have a look at the minutes.
Four?
Say what, Maureen?
No, she was talking to me.
Oh, okay. Have a look at the minutes. Has everyone looked over the minutes? Any corrections to the minutes? Give me another minute to look at them.
One,
Yes, Doc?
just a minor typo in the first David Israel sentence. A new law has B-E-N instead of B-E-E-N.
You got that, Joanne?
They just missed the E.
That's good.
We say bad enough.
Right is right. Yes.
Not the minutes, but the copy sheet is correct.
Do I?
The agenda.
Oh,
We can't hear you.
right.
You need a mic.
There's one.
The agenda is not complete.
What's missing?
Wait a minute, that's not minutes.
We're through.
3 minutes.
All right, wait till we get there. Okay? Going on. Any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes will be accepted as presented. Thank you, Joanne. Which I guess brings me up. All right, maybe a little repetition here, but I think it's worth going over a few things. There was a little blurb in the Palm Beach Post, which is really not holding Century Village up in the best light. Code enforcement seems to be of the opinion that Century Village is, quote, out of control, unquote. One of the principal issues, and I can understand it, new people move in, these floor plans are very dated, I understand that, and they want to, quote, upgrade their apartment. And they get handyman maybe, and maybe they're licensed, maybe they're insured, maybe they're not, and they knock down load-bearing walls. This is a problem, folks, especially when the upstairs floor starts to collapse. I am advised by way of our CAM that they intend to, and he may add something to this, engage in a full-blown code enforcement project in here. So we're going to have to publicize this. This is no joke. Now, to this issue, I will add, in recent times, we have had a goat in one of the units. We currently have chickens being kept somewhere in one of our units. Donald is doing detective work. We have people building pools in their units, which I suspect is cover term for mikvah. And expired tags everywhere. All right? Don't get mad at Donald for reporting expired tags. This is not a parking lot for junk cars. And I understand you got a lot of snowbirds who leave their vehicle here. And it's unbelievable how many expired tags. So, we got to do something about that. And we will try to publicize that. Donald may have a bit more on this when he gives his report. Additionally, we have 3 projects which you may or may not have read. I wrote about them in the paper. We have a $100,000 fence project along the northeast boundary of the village along Haverhill Road. Those of you who've been here a while, Pat Plunk said that fence needed replacement 12 years ago. And it's been hit a number of times by vehicles crashing off Haverhill Road. The fence is a mess. All right. The problem of Kal Hasidim, who, as you may recall, purchased the medical center for something on the order of $6 million, has applied to put a synagogue in the building, and that synagogue application was sent back with errors. It has been reapplied and will be heard in August. They also wish to build 2 swimming pools. One for men, one for women. God forbid men and women might swim in the same pool. Hosanna in excelsis. I don't know what to say. Last but not least, still hanging fire is D.R. Horton's desire to put residential housing on the golf course. As you're well aware, this has been kicking around for a decade at least.
What?
And I'm proud to say what's holding them up. They require drainage easement. And they wish to drain through our lakes and canals. Some of these are also called lagoons, but if you look up the meaning of lagoon, I don't think we have any lagoons on campus. I think this was an advertising thing. Come to the land of the lovely lagoon. So, we continue not to give them a drainage easement Their only other way out might be tearing up Okeechobee Boulevard, and I don't think the county is gonna let them do that. Oh, you got a quorum. I believe Susie is a member, yes. Huh?
We now have a quorum.
I have a quorum. Right up here, Susie. So those are a few of the items
They want you to
Sign in.
which I thought I would remind everybody about. And I guess that ends my report. This issue of load-bearing walls is a big deal, and it's got to stop. I'm not saying you can't tear out walls, and contractors should know better, but you got to put some equivalent support, or the upstairs floor is going to come down. And what a mess that's going to make. It's already happening. Instantly, it drops a couple inches. Now you got a problem. All right, let's go around the room unless there are any questions on these few items. Why don't we start? Ed?
Yes, not a question, I just want to bring to everybody.
Mike, please.
Oh,
Good morning, all. Thank you for coming. I just want to bring it to everyone's attention that the purchase of the medical building to be converted to a synagogue, there seems to be what I consider an uninformed opinion that it can't be challenged in one. If one looks up on the Google, not too long ago, a very similar complaint was fought by an association condominium like ours in Florida, and it was defeated. I want to also let you know that the attorney who won for the association is a member of Becker, and I recommended that we contact Becker to see if that attorney's still there and have him review what we feel is to be opposed. There's been writing about the opposed, but that would give me a better feeling, because that's someone who's been in the mud and has done a lot of research. So that being the case, that's what I want to say there.
Yeah, I'm not taking it as a foregone conclusion. We can show up in force at this hearing, fill out comment cards. I think we have a case. Based on nothing else, there's two synagogues within walking distance of most of the village. Now, this of course overlooks the issue of various sects, I understand that, but it's certainly a case that can be made. Doc?
I would just like to read a paragraph from yesterday's Palm Beach Post backing up, can I get?
You need to
can
get
hear
on the
me?
mic.
Yeah, sorry,
No.
thank you.
And Dominic is here.
Yes. Yesterday was the anniversary of Surfside, the lead article, first page, I'm not going to read that, but it eventually gets out to county by county, all right? At the county level, Palm Beach County Building official Donald Weiss said county commissioners will have to determine to decide whether to include two-story buildings. Now comes the good part. The Post recently reported that a load-bearing wall was removed from a two-story condo building at Century Village west of West Palm Beach, forcing the county to order the upstairs and downstairs units to be evacuated until repairs are made. The county is considering ordering the entire 24-unit building to be demolished if repairs are not made soon. That's it.
Joy Rapture. Yeah, I briefly mentioned that article. Thank you. Good to have it in the record. All right, let's hear from our officers. Who wants to start, Fausto?
Good afternoon. Nice to everybody to show up. The only thing that I would like to say is that we're gonna have a pill drop, the September. So our delegate assembly meeting, the poster will be in next month's paper, and as soon as we have it, it'll be up on our channels, and it'll be listed all over. So tell your neighbors, next pill drop is the first Friday in September. And we're gonna try to do one every 4 months. That's all I got.
Thank you. Patricia?
Good morning, everyone. I don't have much to say, which is unusual for me, but I think they have said it all here. We all know about, you shouldn't do this and you should not do that, and you should have a board. So I don't want to be repetitious. Some of us take up more time than necessary. So I'm going to wish you all a good day.
Thank you, Patricia. Tom?
I think that the Norwich building is kind of overemphasized. We can't tear down a building because then the land goes back to the Levies. And being just the end of the building, it's up to them to raise the money to make the proper repairs.
I don't know where the article came from, but I have some fear that all of this being true, I don't think the county would give a damn. I think they're using this as leverage to get that building to take action. Right? And I don't really believe they'll tear down the building, but they certainly, the point being, have the authority.
Well,
Right?
I think it's trying to scare everybody into
Yes.
compliance. Yeah.
Got anything else?
No, that's all. I'll jump
Okay.
in.
Bob?
There's just one thing I want to emphasize. All right, you still have a lot of associations that don't have their officers. There's some that don't have presidents. There's some that they don't really need to have a vice president, but they do need to have a secretary and a treasurer along with the president. These people don't seem to think that they don't need that and they can get by with two officers. They don't realize that they can go into receivership and it's going to cost them thousands. Do they care? It doesn't seem like it. And my opinion is, if these people don't get off their, and I'm going to put it very bluntly, if they don't get off their asses, then they need to lose their rights as far as that's concerned. Maybe that'll wake them up.
Bob makes a very good point. I want to remind everyone, it never hurts to remind folks, if you can't field a proper board, any unit owner can pick up a phone and call the condo ombudsman in Tallahassee. The condo ombudsman will appoint a CAM to run your building. Depending on the size of your building, you could pay up to $75,000 a year and pay that CAM salary. The CAM will be in full CYA mode. If he finds a little chip in the paint, you have to paint your building. If he finds a little flaw in your roof, you have to put a new roof on. You really don't want Tallahassee getting into the business of running your building. You'll need a printing press to keep up with the expense. Got anything else, Bob?
No,
That's a good point.
I just feel that if they don't want to do it, then let them pay.
Well,
Plain and simple.
we can act, hopefully, as a bully pulpit to get people to do that. All right, Joanne.
I don't really have anything other than to say we're trying to post as many of the meetings as we can on David's blog and hopefully eventually to get them on the TV station. So we're trying our best to drag ourselves into the 21st century of electronics, and I'm going to continue to work with David and everyone involved. That's it.
Why don't we hear Cam report? Cam.
Morning, everyone. As Dave reported, Century Village is going to be focused on by the county division of buildings. This week I met with 2 code enforcement officers, Gennady and Johnson, and that's where I was told, quote unquote, Century Village is out of control. The article that Dr. Handelsman just read, we may actually see our county government extend the new inspection requirements to 2-story buildings, and Century Village is a primary reason for that. So this could wind up costing all of us money, because most of us live in 2-story buildings, except for one in Greenbrier, right? In Dover. So this is something we all need to pay attention to. There's a county side to this, pulling permits, but there's also an association side for this. The associations should not be allowing any construction work to happen inside these buildings until they give express written permission in advance, not when the work starts. And in many cases, and this is subject to an attorney's advice, the board doesn't even have the authority to give that permission unless they have a membership vote. With the statute is no less than 51%, but I think most of our buildings is 2/3. There are a few that are 75%. This is a two-sided. You have the county side, and you also have the association side. What I was told this week is that attention is going to be paid on catching the workers, the contractors, the tradesmen who are doing this work. And UCO is going to help with that, to try to find out who's doing this work and get them fined and sanctioned for starting jobs before the permits have gone through and so forth. So this is a real problem, and we all can be involved. And part of it is don't hammer. Don't take a hammer to your apartment. You don't have the right to do it. There's a way, and even very easy for me and Dom to come in and say, "No, this building, this isn't a load-bearing member," but neither of us are qualified to say that on the books, and we try not to. This is an engineer's job. If you want to take out a wall, you've got to get an engineering study done and present that to the board ahead of time. So you're going to be hearing more and more from County Department of Buildings. We're trying to put together an informational meeting here in Room C, where the representatives from the various departments, including possibly the director, will be here to basically give the information that you guys need to do your jobs. So anyways, that's all I have for now. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks.
Any questions for Cam? All right, if you've just come in recently, make sure Bob has you on the attendance sheet. And Dom.
The reason some of us are late, it says 10:30.
It says 10:30 on the
Right.
thing.
Where does it say 10:30?
On the UCO paper that came out.
Yeah, that's why we came in late.
I guess we got to get our ducks lined up.
I think it's 10:30.
Or chicken.
This is the way I
I got those lined up.
That's right behind the chickens. All right. I think now we've come now to our treasurer, Ed. Motion.
Good morning, everybody, again, and again, I'm very happy to have the forum. I said at the beginning, David, I had a problem with the agenda. I just want to approach it very quickly.
Make a motion to modify the agenda.
I'll make a motion to modify the agenda, and the reason is you omitted the details of the vote that was taken on my motion at the officers' meeting, and if it was on, the motion should, even though it didn't pass, should be attached to the agenda. because I'm gonna bring the same motion again, and I don't wanna misquote it. Having said that, since our secretary's here, I think we should have a readout of the motion that was turned down.
All right, you want to modify the agenda, why don't we start with that?
Okay, I'd like the agenda to include the motion which was not passed by the officers committee yesterday.
All right, so you have no motion to add to this agenda?
Well, I have a motion, but I want to have the exact wording. I don't, it's going to be brought to the floor again, and I don't want to be criticized for changing the motion.
Need a second.
Second,
Yeah, what Ed's describing is the vote taken at yesterday's meeting, and he's looking,
We can't hear you.
sorry, I think he's looking for the minutes from yesterday's meeting, which we don't even have yet. They haven't been approved by the officers committee. So,
Well,
if you
having-
want to
having-
make a motion,
Well,
it's
having,
business.
Donald, having said all that, I'm not 100% stickler, but the bylaws call for a motion, even if it was turned down, to be brought to the executive board.
Okay.
So I'll bring the
Point of order,
motion.
point of
I'll
order.
bring the motion as best as I can.
Point of order.
Got a point of order,
Okay.
Bob?
That doesn't necessarily have to be an agenda item, because it comes under new business.
I don't know where you get that from,
It would be
Bob.
under new business.
I'm not gonna get into a discourse when the bylaws call for it. The bylaws definitely call that an item that was put forth, whether it passed or not, it's supposed to go after the officers' meeting to the executive board, to the delegate assembly.
All right, we're in officers' reports, but do you have a report to make as treasurer?
Yes, yes.
Financial report?
Yes, I'm going to just start with a little verbiage. We talk about a new fence, we talk about costs, we talk about a lot of things. Part of what the finance committee and the office of treasurer is supposed to do is be prepared for the next budget. Not only increases but decreases. I brought forth what I feel is absolutely correct, an ability for us, that's you, go, not just me, to earn within the next 12 months $150,000 in interest as of yesterday, and in compliance not only with the bylaws, which I had a back and forth discourse with our longtime lawyer, Rod Tennyson. But if one looks at it very briefly, his last sentence says, it should be brought to the delegate assembly. And this is what I want to do. I made a motion, I wanted to go to the delegate assembly, as they are the last choice in everything.
Point of order.
Yes, go ahead.
The treasurer made a motion. Does that not need a second and a vote?
I didn't make the motion for that.
You didn't get that far yet.
I didn't hear the motion yet.
He said to make a motion.
Are you going to hear the motion? The motion is that the treasurer should be able to invest in treasury bills up to a limit of $5 million. That's the best I could remember.
You are making a motion that we should invest $5 million of people's money in T-bills. That's your motion.
My motion is the ability to do it. I certainly wouldn't advise it if it doesn't pay money.
I understand.
So it's basically the ability. It doesn't say I would be loath to invest and lose. So it's only if it produces a positive effect.
All right. We have a motion to invest in T-bills. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll second it.
Dan Gladstone seconds the
I have a
motion.
question on this too.
What?
A question.
We want to second it.
Seconded first.
We'll get into
I
question,
second.
for sure. Now that there is a motion and a second, we go into discussion. And I will preliminarily to this discussion say that Rod Tennyson also says it's a violation of our bylaws as currently written. You go against your attorney's advice at great peril. Patricia?
I'm a little confused about this. You said you wanted to bring it to the delegate assembly. Now, unless I'm mistaken, I believe you brought this up to every committee before, including delegate assembly. Is that correct or not?
I don't remember this on the agenda for the delegates.
It was brought up when he spoke about it at the delegates meeting. It was certainly brought up.
Okay.
It was brought up in every
Was there a
committee
vote?
once before.
Okay.
So I'm a little perplexed as to why we're doing this again and again and again. That's all.
Well,
May I answer you?
I mean, okay, yeah, sure. Briefly.
Briefly, I mentioned it, it wasn't put up for a vote, and as an officer, I feel this is a very, very important point. And David says, Rod Tennyson said it goes against our bylaws, which we have plenty of retort on the other side, including 2 lawyers. However, that's not what I feel is the issue. The issue is Mr. Tennyson said, bring it to the delegate assembly. And that's what I'm trying to do. I welcome anybody who wants to see the details. Hours and hours of research and talking to other people. I can do it, but not here. Come to the office. Or unfortunately, what was not mentioned is at the Finance Committee, which its duty is to do these kind of things, voted 100% to approve it. Subsequently, someone who voted to approve it changed their mind. That's life. But I believe it should go to the delegate assembly, and according to our bylaws, this is the way it goes to the delegate assembly.
Dan?
Yeah, I understand it was approved. I attended the finance committee. What happened in the offices? This is something we don't...
No, you didn't hear me. I said it was not approved, it was seconded, and the vote was almost unanimous. Everybody against, except myself. So it was 1 for, and I think 7 against. But that doesn't preclude us from going forward and giving everybody the opportunity to vote on it, including, and most very important, the executive board. That's why you're here.
All right. Any further discussion on this motion?
Barbara.
Oh, sorry, Barbara.
You want a mic? You're gonna have to yell.
I will yell. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I was at the Finance Committee meeting and the offices. I don't want to go there. What I want to know is that our treasurer is trying to make money, so it will keep our costs, the residents, down by getting more money into the treasury. Now, the Treasury of the United States is known as the biggest premium financial institution. And I know Rod a long time. I think that Rod was not presented with this in the proper manner, because if he was, I don't think he would have answered the way Ed has told me, okay? There's no reason why we can't make money on $5 million to help ourselves in keeping our costs down. I don't say any more than $5 million. But right now, the Treasury bills, as of today, every month they redo it, is 2.86, okay? It's guaranteed by the United States government treasury. If they go under, we're all going under. We won't get anything. So you wouldn't want a better guarantee. I really feel, and I hate it when they bring up Rod Tennyson, because Rod has been our lawyer for a long time. He has served us well. I don't think the letter that was sent to him is saying exactly what I just said. And if anybody can answer that to me, fine.
All right. I hear what you say, which in essence speaks to risk. Many people perhaps had their money in Hamilton Bank. Just one. Hamilton Bank collapsed like a punctured balloon. There's no such thing as a risk-free instrument. There really isn't. That's all I want to say about that. States go bankrupt all the time. You know, I'm sure these are wonderful instruments, but this is $5 million of the people's money, and it must be handled in the most conservative manner available. There's ways around it, I understand that we have to go through a bank. There's no problem. We can go through the bank right next door. I have a great deal of trouble putting the people's money at risk in any way. Olga.
I'm going to speak loud also. David, if the United States went bankrupt, do you think that those guaranteed CDs would be paid off?
No.
So
it's not
the
a matter.
bottom line is, it doesn't matter whether we invest in treasuries or CDs. If the government goes, we're all in the S house.
All right.
Good point.
I hear what you're saying. Go ahead, Ed.
I'm going to emphasize that I am not only the treasurer, but I'm a unit owner. And I don't want to lose money. There is nothing in the United States that is more secure, may not earn interest, and it could go down in value, like if you had a ton of gold in the bank, doesn't mean that's not going to disappear. But if the Treasury of the United States disappears, all you ladies better start cutting up your jewelry and diamonds, because the paper isn't going to be worth anything. And if anyone here could come up with any answer that the Treasury can go bankrupt, the United States will go bankrupt, then all you could do is keep your gold and your jewelry. This is, in difference to David, the most secure instrument in the United States that will earn money that you can't lose a nickel. In the 100+ years that the Treasury is in business, it never, ever once failed. And so, I feel, as a unit owner, and as the treasurer, whose duty is, and as the finance committee, whose duty is, and I don't think they were impressed that I put it forward. They are unit owners also, and the business of the finance committee is to recommend things to the officers and to the delegates. So vote the way your heart feels, but it will ultimately go to the delegate assembly.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I wonder if the treasurer would change the verbiage.
Speak up a little.
If the treasurer would change the verbiage on his motion from up to 5 million to 2.5 million. To lay some fears here. Just because you go up to 5 million doesn't mean you're going to do 5 million. That would still have to be voted on, unless you're looking for the authority to do it. Change the verbiage to 2.5.
Is the ability, and what I did when I put the motion forward, I took an example. You have 100 different ways. You could do 1 month, and every month you renew it. And that was another thing that I brought to the fore. But without my permission, the motion was extended to up to 5 million. Listen, I am more conservative than many of you have ever been. That's one of the tenets that you have to be when you're a certified public accountant. You must take the most conservative way on any decision. And I feel it's my money. It's not only mine, it's my daughter's who's a resident here. And so I feel that we only earn for the first 5 months on $10 million, $500. So that's my case, and I would like, if anybody has anything else to say, let's call for a vote.
All right, before we vote on this, the discussion seems to have emphasized whether this investment is a prudent one, and I think we all agree that that's the case. This is a U.S. Treasury bill. The salient point here that I want to remind the committee is that our attorney has merely opined that using Treasury bonds bills is not it's not concurrent with our bylaws, and there's no reason why we can't use this instrument, but there needs to be a bylaw change according to our attorney. So I would recommend that this go to the advisory committee, or perhaps a motion that the advisory committee be directed to make a change in the bylaw. This is what I think the argument really is here, not so much whether the investment is sound. Thank you.
Dan?
If we're afraid that one bank is going to just go bankrupt, why won't do it in 5 or 6 or 7 banks? Just spread it up, don't put all the eggs in one basket. Second, how did FDIC insuring our money?
Say again?
How FDIC insuring our investments? I mean, there are limits, I guess. FDIC
insures up to $250,000. Only $250,000.
On each account.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Now, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I've heard all of the arguments. Yes, it would be scattered into different banks. It would be laddered so that the whole sum is not tied up for extended periods of time. You can ladder it. 1 month is the shortest period, so you're only 30 some odd days away if you really need the money. There are ways around this. Yes, all of that's been looked at. Doc?
To back up what Donald just said, as you may know, I'm chair of advisory. I would be glad to call a meeting in August. It would have to be in August to consider investing in T-bills. Let me add that Randall Borchardt, I don't know what the pronunciation, he gave me the bylaws from 2001, 5, and 6. They all included specifically T-bills. No one knows why it was removed, those words, in the present bylaws.
What are you saying? We're suffering from a typographical error?
I do not know. It was before my time, but I can show you the booklets, the bylaws from 01, 05, and 06.
Those were the bylaws that were voted on by the delegates.
Right.
We spent 5 years working on it.
I understand.
Okay?
All I'm
So
saying,
evidently it was eliminated for a reason.
I don't know what the reason is.
I don't remember it.
Barbara has a hand up.
I don't remember this being eliminated.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Go
I
ahead, Ed.
invite all discussion, but you just can't jump in. You can say what you want, you could vote what you want, but I'm calling for a vote because I and other attorneys don't agree with Rod Tennyson, and at the officers meeting, and we're not talking nickels and dimes, and Rod has been wrong before. He was wrong with me when Anita ran the bylaw committee change. She read Rod Tennyson's opinion in open forum. I asked for a copy. Tennyson said that's restricted. It isn't, it's not covered under the restriction because she read it in over.
Ed, you're going back 5 years. Can we stick to the current issue?
The current
There's a
issue-
motion, there's a second, we're in discussion.
Okay. Well, I'm replying to what someone said,
I understand.
and
My God.
I feel that I agree to a certain extent with Barbara said, because if you read Rod Tennyson's motion, first of all, he misquotes the bank. Second of all, he asked if T-bills are guaranteed by the United States full faith. And third of all, he said, you can't use state. I never mentioned state. Rod either mistook or just is not there all the time. Thank you.
Barbara,
2 points. I want to address what Donald said about Rod Tennyson. I brought this up in my first statement, is that I don't believe, Rod Tennyson is a good lawyer. We've had him for years, Rod. I don't believe this was presented to him in the proper manner that it's being presented to you. Because he knows that the Treasury Department is the premium financial institution, okay? And I know Rod personally. He would not. I think it wasn't presented to him right. I don't know what you wrote to him. I don't care. Send him what you're trying to tell the people to vote on. That's the right way to do it. That's number one, okay? Number two, let me tell you something. You can do whatever you want. I'm not on this committee. I'm only here as a concerned resident. I can't see why we wouldn't want to make money and it's protected. David, banks go under, you're right. That's why a CD would go under faster than the Treasury Department, and you know that. I know that we're both investors. It is a safe way to invest. As far as if it's approved by our lawyer, that's something you have to decide. Was it sent to him in the proper manner? If you don't see that you had a sent to Rod saying, we want to invest up to $5 million in Treasury notes, backed by the United States Treasury, okay? We don't know what he saw, and I don't know what he gave an opinion on, because I didn't see that email. And you all should know exactly what you're voting on. This is a very important matter for this village.
okay, Bob,
Aren't we a nonprofit?
Bob, you need the mic.
yeah, we're not for profit.
Not for profit.
This is another issue that I think is part of the slippery slope syndrome. You want to start to turn UCO into a profit-seeking center. I mean, we've been talking for years about splashing the buses full of advertising. And God knows what's next. We'll be setting up a desk down here at a local stockbroker. Bobby.
Yeah, I preface my remarks by saying I know nothing about money. Maybe if I did, I'd be living in the south of France right now. But I think that Donald's suggestion was very well worth noting. Perhaps all of this conversation should be tabled until we go back to the bylaws committee. Let them reread that section of the bylaws. If it has to be changed, change it, and then we come back and we vote on whether or not we want to invest. It doesn't seem like a very good idea to disregard what our attorney is telling us.
All right, that would be a motion to be made after, because we have a motion on the floor.
Let's vote.
So I think we should vote on that motion, but then bring your motion. Is that fair?
Fair?
Okay. We got anything else on this T-bill motion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ed. Faster, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Excuse me.
No, that's okay.
Very simple. Rod Tennyson opened his remarks by saying, I am confused. But he ended with, take it to the delegate assembly. Yes. I'll show you. I am confused.
No, I didn't ask, excuse me.
anybody can make any motion. I believe a motion like that should start and has to go back to the officers committee. And it's very nice to say what you said, Bobby, but if you read my article, it says, we here in Century Village are like Nero. We fiddle while Rome burns. How do you know in 5 months it's even germane? It's germane today. So vote your heart out. I will have another meeting, which I will, now that we can have Zoom, and go through it item by item. In fact, I would invite Ron Tennyson to that.
Can I see that about the
We didn't hear.
Is that in the Z drive, what Tennyson said, that he was confused?
Yes. The first thing he said
He
is...
was confused by a plan by one of the brokers. That's what he said. He wasn't confused by the concept. He in essence says, you see, it's being bifurcated into two separate chunks, and it's not two separate chunks. What he said is, this is a violation of the bylaws which must be dealt with by your delegate assembly. If the delegate assembly wants to override the bylaws, that's up to them. Right?
That's first.
I mean, I agree with Bobby, you know, you want to open up the investment portfolio, it should be specifically stated in the bylaws. But it has to be ultra conservative. Go ahead, Olga.
I'm going to explain everything in reference to Rod Tennyson after we take this vote. Let's do that now, okay? And I will explain everything when she makes that motion. I'm going to clarify everything.
All right. Is there anything else to be heard before we call this vote?
Barbara, I have a question.
Okay, hold on.
Let me have a question. Been talking a long time.
Flora?
Okay. First of all, I'm mad because nobody didn't tell me the meeting started at 10 o'clock. That happened again. Anyway, in the bylaw, which I haven't seen, in the bylaw, there's no long-term planning in the bylaw. As life changes, as things changes, investment is good, and investing in the United States Treasury is a good thing. So are we gonna say the 5 million?
Up to
5 million, is that what we're gonna vote on? Or we're gonna cap it? Is capped at 5 million?
Yes.
No, to take it back to the assembly.
Well, okay, we're going to reread the motion. I believe it is up to 5 million.
Up to 5 million?
Who's got the mic?
All right? Barbara?
I just want to say one thing. You talk about the bylaws. I read the bylaws in and out. I've been on the advisory committee with Anita when we wrote it. The reason that's out, Richard, is because Anita, through Rod Tennyson, said, in your bylaws it says to invest in a bank or financial institution. You read the bylaws, it states it. That's what your treasurer can do. And the financial institution is what we're talking about, the United States Treasury. Well, that was the question I asked. Isn't there long-term planning in the bylaws?
All right.
It's in the bylaw, it's there.
Let's not have a random back and forth. You need to be heard, be recognized. All right? Now, unless there's some more to be said on this, I think we've had pretty good discussion here, ad nauseum. Why don't we call a vote?
Read the motion, please. Yes.
A motion was made by Ed Grossman for the treasurer to invest in treasury bills up to $5 million, was seconded by Dan Gladstone. Is that the correct motion that you want?
Able, I think you're right, that it doesn't mean that I have to. The way you read it is that I have to.
To make a decision
It said
to
for the
invest.
treasurer to invest in.
Up to.
For the treasurer to be able to invest in T-bills up to $5 million. Okay, take the vote. Peter Motto?
Yep.
Michael Bunk?
Yes.
Carol Burns?
Yes.
Susie Burns?
No.
Marilyn Curtis?
Yes.
Maureen DeBeguer?
No.
Ruth Dries?
No.
George Franklin?
Yes.
Dan Gladstone?
Yeah.
Richard Handelsman?
Yes.
Bobby Levin?
No.
Mike Raver?
No.
Joyce Reese?
Yes.
Flora Simpson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Skeen?
Yes.
Mary Walsh?
Yes.
Olga Wolkenstein?
Yes.
David Israel?
No.
Ed Grossman?
Yes.
John Bernaggio?
No.
Stuart's not here. Fausto?
No.
Patricia Caputo?
No.
Bob Rivera?
Abstain.
And I'm voting no.
What do you got?
George said change his vote.
Are we gonna allow George to change his vote?
All right. Yeah, he can change his vote before you announce the final.
There were 12 yeses. Eleven no and 1 abstain.
Motion. No, the motion does not.
Whoa, go ahead.
The motion does not pass. 12 is not a majority of 24.
Say that again?
12 is not a.
Oh,
Yeah, 12 is not a majority of 24.
that's true.
That's exactly why I want eventually abstentions not to count at all. But presently, they do count as a cast vote. 12 is not a majority of 24.
All right. So it doesn't pass, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
Well, how nice to have the chair of the advisory committee here. All right. That's it. Sic transit Gloria Mundi. All right. Now, we're at a point here where this has failed at the officers committee and essentially has failed here. And that in light of the opinion by Rod Tennyson. I wonder if it should be declared in order at delegate assembly. It's something for, I might seek an opinion on that. Go ahead, Olga.
Yes, it should go to the delegate assembly because I need to clarify.
I got you.
Make sure everybody understands what happened. This was put to Rod Tennyson, okay? And Rod Tennyson made his decision on the basis of the bylaws, okay? Which were ambiguous. And they did not say T-bills specifically. It just said government securities, which were ambiguous. Therefore, on that basis, he said, take it to the delegate assembly, okay? And that was the reason he did that. I just want everybody to understand this.
All right.
Because it's very confusing as to what he said.
So it shall be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Is there any, were you done with your report?
Speak to the mic.
While Dr. Handelsman is here, and he said that this vote, although the majority wanted it,
No, they did not.
excuse me, the count was the majority, and you said that doesn't work.
12 and 24 is not a majority. It's not
How many people voted, can I know?
24.
How many? How many was the total? You said it was 11 to 10 and then it... And out of the 24 people who voted yes? Okay. That's half. The half the people here, which was more than half because we had an abstention, your opinion shouldn't be thrown under the rug. And then 10, it is their opinion, and we had 7 people vote for it at the advisory committee. So we will go forward. And I will call another meeting before the delegate assembly.
All right. Thank you. I'm not aware we have any old business. Is there any new business to come before executive board? New business.
I'll do it under new business.
Doesn't.
I wish to be recognized under new business.
Go.
It is my understanding that the treasurer's responsibility is to make sure that we collect money that's owed by the associations. So you've spent 4 months talking about T-bills and going around. How many associations have not paid UCO their fees? How much money is outstanding? That's your job to let us know what that amount is.
I know what my job is. I do my job, and part of my job, you know, you make a big deal that you collected from 20,000 to almost nothing. You ignored that for 5 years before I came and worked on it. Well, I'm not here to throw stones. I'm here to say, read what my responsibility is. And when you get a certificate of being able to practice either law or accounting, I'll listen to you. Otherwise, I call it what David calls it, Tupperware.
I ask a simple
Go ahead,
question.
Ed.
Not answering you.
As a vice president and a unit owner and being a part of the executive board, I would like to know from the treasurer, how many associations of the 309 owe UCO money? It's a simple question.
The meaningless amount, and if you look at the reports, you'll see.
Answer the question!
I don't want to continue
No,
this.
forget, he can't.
All right.
He can't. I'm sorry, I had to bring it up because...
Okay.
I'm glad you did, Fausto.
All right.
You voted against the first time when I put it in the bank, earned 6%. You were one of the 2 officers that said, no. You know what? You just don't understand finance.
All right. Fair enough. Any other new business to come before executive board? We are now in good and welfare. Anybody have anything they wish to be heard? Good and welfare. Bobby.
No, sorry, it's not that important. The microphone.
I move that we adjourn.
No,
I thought you, Bobby, I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I apologize.
You said you would not wait to adjourn.
periodically we get flack about spending money on these excursion trips. I just want to report to the body here that we have a trip going out next week. The sign-up dates were 3 weeks ago. I am still getting phone calls for people that want to go. For the general information for everybody here, people are anxious to get on a bus and get out of here.
Why not?
I'm just saying, what periodically at the delegate meetings, we get, why are we spending money on buses? I want you to know that the people want, and I'm trying very desperately to find things that do not cost us any extra money.
I gotcha.
Thank you, Bobby.
Anything else under good and welfare? Dan?
No. There was a discussion at the Finance Committee about the AMR, and until now, we don't really know which is which, what is what with AMR. And this is something that should be clarified for the people. It starts from A to Z all the time that we hear who is taking what because somebody got a bill and it's a big controversy about this bill now.
Okay. I wasn't aware that the basics had changed. In fact, I just went over this recently at a meeting. When there is a call, the little red wagon comes, fire and rescue, and if it's ALS, advanced life support, they will transport. If it's BLS, basic life support, they don't leave you lying on the sidewalk. That's what AMR tags along behind. AMR will then transport. Now, any bill you receive, you know, the rule that I've always gone by, Dan, is you don't pay it. You turn it over, you fill out the blanks and send it to your insurance company. And you'd be crazy not to. There will almost certainly be some sort of deductible, as you're well aware. But that was my understanding. I'm not aware that anything has changed unless someone's got better information. Go ahead, Fausto.
I believe Mr. Gladstone is referring to what we discussed yesterday.
Yeah, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say any names, okay? The information that was given to the Finance Committee, why, I don't know, they got involved with AMR, but had nothing to do with the finance, and the person that spoke to whoever in the Finance Committee gave the wrong information. At the officers' meeting, I gave the treasurer a copy of the letter. It was a simple understanding. The person that got the service from AMR was asked to give insurance information, and the person refused it. That's why she got a bill. Not because there was a problem with AMR,
right.
The person just refused to give the insurance information. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
And any problems, I've been dealing with AMR for the last 4.5 years. If anybody brings me a bill and it's incorrect, I make sure it gets taken care of. Okay? And I've been working on that since May 25th. I believe the service was on May 15th. I got it 5-6 days later, and I've been working on it.
All right. Hold on. Bob.
As far as AMR goes, in my opinion, that it's useless. All right, AMR cost us way too much for the service that they're giving us. I say we just drop them, let the big red bus take it. All right.
That's not the issue.
But you're saying you can't do it, but it's costing more. It's costing us more than if the red bus took these people.
There are a lot of people here who are barely making it. If they have to take the Red Rock, the red truck, they have to pay $600-700. It's not like AMR. I'm thankful to God I never had to use it, but there are a lot of people here who are elderly. I see that coming in and out a lot. So if we take it away just because we think it's a lot of money, I mean, there are people who don't ride the bus. And it's okay, I don't mind paying for the bus, because someday I will ride the bus. You know what I mean? It's a service that was offered to the people here, and I think would be detrimental to take it away, my personal opinion.
The issue of dumping AMR has come to delegate assembly, in my memory, at least twice. And they rejected it out of hand. I mean, I would complain, Bob, that they used to have a vehicle on campus. It used to sit over there at the medical center, and then they moved it over to Pete's. I don't know why, and then it's disappeared. But the cost is staggering, but the people are loath to give it up. I mean, that's just, we have attempted that before, and it is staggeringly expensive. 11,000, some, I don't really.
$136,000 an hour.
Right. $1.45 per month per unit. Yeah. Olga?
If we eliminate it, here's what's going to happen. A person in trouble is going to have a choice. They take the red bus and pay, or they call Uber, okay?
Right.
Now, here's the problem. If AMR takes them to emergency, they take them right away once they get there. If you go with an Uber or by yourself, you're going to wait 5 and 6 hours before they even see you in emergency. So that's the problem.
You're
That's
absolutely
why
right.
we have to maintain it.
Also, I thought I heard someone say there's no insurance coverage when the little red wagon takes you. That's not true. You send, as I said, you fill out the back of the form, you send it to your, I believe there is a deductible, I don't know what it is.
The red truck charges $750, and it's usually a $250 deductible.
There you go.
That sometimes is written off and sometimes it is not.
Right.
But in this particular case, why it went to the finance committee, the person was asked for insurance. I gave you a copy, I gave Ed a copy. It was very specific. AMR said, give us your insurance information and this bill will go away. And the person refused.
Okay.
Now, does not Medicare cover for the ambulance?
It does.
Then,
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
yeah, and if you have a supplemental with your,
Well, I don't. All right, let's not get into what we did the other day. I can't even publish it because we're talking about personal medical information. So, hold on. Ed?
Yes, briefly, Ed.
This is very briefly. The Finance Committee had AMR in. We asked them several questions. They never responded. Fausto did give me what AMR said. I spoke to having her name brought out, and I said, I will ask her to come in. A remark was made, she'd be afraid. She's agreed, and I asked her to come in. I forgot Monday is July 4th, but I asked her to come in then on Tuesday and state what she says, which is 360 degrees different. So it's easy to, there's always three sides, right, wrong, and maybe. So just as a quick interject, I'm sorry, Mr. Handelsman. Where, can you refer me to how the votes are counted?
Yes, I can. The majority of the members present, there were 24 members present.
Yeah.
12 voted yes. That is not a majority.
Well, according to Robert's rules, which I looked up before this meeting, an abstention counts
Does not count.
as being in the group, but it doesn't count either way on a vote, so I think you're wrong. There is a majority of the people who voted. And we can discuss this, but I take objection.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn and multiple seconds. Thank you all very much.
They've been talking about, I'm sorry, who is Do you know what I want to ask? I
had the meeting down at 10:30.
I had it at 10, but anyway, what I want to ask them is, we've never done, I know when someone's doing construction, the board 4 months, I never knew.